6:30. So I'm going to begin the evening experience. So with that, good evening and welcome planning board members, applicants, participants, and interested parties to the March 5th, 2025 meeting of the Cohasset Planning Board. The board is now in session on a Zoom platform. I'm Amy Glassmeyer. I'm the chair of the Cohasset Planning Board, and I will be running tonight's meetings as we implement Massachusetts Chapter 40A and Cohasset zoning bylaw. The board is now in session on a Zoom platform at time meeting 6:31 p.m. And that's the start of the meeting. I'll now take roll call of the board members. Please respond by repeating your name loudly and clearly and saying present. Clark Brewer.
Present.
Amy Glassmeyer, present. Kevin Hine.
You're on mute, Kevin.
Sorry, present.
Birgit Schmidt-Weitz.
Yeah, Birgit Schmidt-Besche, present.
Great, thank you. Tonight we have a quorum of 4 members. Passage of any items will be by simple majority. Also present this evening on behalf of the planning board is our town planner, Cassandra Thayer. Instructions to the audience for participation. If anyone in the audience has questions for the board, please put them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen or use the raise hand function to be called on. You must first state your name and address. And we will prompt you if you forget to do that. Please limit your discussion to 3 minutes. And this is a little commercial. Incidentally, if there's a member of the public who would be interested in becoming a member of the planning board, please speak to one of the board members or contact Cassandra Thayer. And I'll also say that the elections are coming up. So if you're interested in applying and you want to go that way, please note that you're going to need 50 signatures for you to be a recognized candidate. Okay, thank you. So a quick overview of tonight's business. The first item we're going to address is a reopening of the February 5th, 2025 hearing for a site plan review for 165 Chief Justice Highway. The applicant has requested to continue the hearing to March 26th. The second item on the agenda is the opening of the Section 5 hearing on the zoning bylaw floodplain amendment that will be voted on annual town meeting. As this is a public hearing, we will need to vote to approve the zoning amendment. Ms. Thayer, our planner, will read the hearing notice and convene the discussion. And then finally, our third item is at a business is a permit extension request for a 2023 decision for 55 South Main Street. This is a previously approved Village Business District special permit and site plan review redevelopment project. For people new to town, this is the location where the shuttered gas station is located. Okay, with that quick summary, we will begin the meeting by reopening the hearing for a site plan review for 165 Chief Justice Highway. The item of business is the reopening of the public hearing for a site plan review for 165 Chief Justice Cushing Highway for the construction of a 40,500 square foot storage warehouse. This is a public hearing continued from February 25th. The applicant has requested that we continue the hearing to March 26th. So we will now vote to continue the hearing until March 26th.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing to March 26th.
Great, thank you. Roll call, vote.
Can we take a second?
I will second.
Okay, roll call.
Clark
vote.
Brewer, aye.
Amy Glassmeyer, aye.
Kevin Hine, aye.
Birgit Schmidt-Besche, aye.
All right, thank you. The vote passes 4-0. The second item on the agenda is the opening of a Section 5 hearing of the zoning bylaw floodplain amendment that will be voted on at town meeting in May. As this is a public hearing, we will need to vote to approve the Section 5 Massachusetts General Law Flood Planning Zoning Amendment. Ms. Thayer, our planner, will read the public hearing notice and convene the discussion.
I have to unmute myself first. Okay, so the public hearing notice reads as follows. Pursuant to Section 5 of MGL Chapter 40A, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on the Zoom platform webinar ID 881-600-5045, password 441526 on Wednesday, March 5th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. on the following proposal to amend the Cohasset zoning bylaws. PB1, amendments to Article 9.4, Floodplain and Watershed Protection District. Amendment is to bring the bylaw into compliance with the state's regulations and the new effective dates of the flood insurance rate map and flood insurance study. All changes are housekeeping in nature. The full text of the proposed amendment is available for viewing at the Town Clerk's Office, Cohasset Town Hall, 41 Highland Avenue, Cohasset, Mass. 02025 during regular business hours, Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Electronic copies of the proposal can be found on the Town of Cohasset website, www.cohassetma.org/214/planning board. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed amendment should attend the public hearing at the time designated. So I will present to you guys. I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see this okay?
We can only see the second half. Okay, perfect.
Yep, I'm gonna scroll right up. So to give a brief overview, you guys did update this section of the bylaw at special town meeting. You worked with MAPC who did the bylaw revision. In mid-January, we were contacted by DCR to inform us that they were updating the dates for the maps and the panel numbers. So this is after you guys had approved the previous amendment. There's also a small section that I will show you that has updated language in regarding variances to the building code that is directly out of the state's suggested bylaw language. So there's two main sections that are being amended. The first one is down here in section 9.4B for location. You can see that they've updated the panel numbers. And then also there's these panel numbers here for July 8th, 2025. I realize that date is in the future, but those are the dates that the maps will become officially effective. So they're requesting that all towns update their bylaws now. That way they are up to date when the maps come into effect. Does anyone have any questions on that before I move to the second part?
The new FEMA maps, are they substantially different around the water, like around the harbor?
No, I don't believe so.
So like a VE line is in the same spot as it was in the previous version?
Yep.
Okay.
The second section, so none of this that I'm scrolling past has changed. This is what you amended in the special town meeting. That all is the same. The second section is all the way down here. Section R, variances to building code floodplain standards. So this is taken directly from their model bylaw language. They suggested that this become crossed out and they reinsert this language here.
Cassandra, can I ask a question?
Of course.
Does this change then change our procedures, or is this really cosmetic?
It wouldn't change the board's your procedures, because this is specifically for the Building Code Appeals Board,
Okay,
which is not something that you guys see
It's
before you.
different than the zoning
Yes.
bylaw or a zoning board appeal.
Mhm.
Building code, what's a typical example of a building code appeal relative to the floodplain?
Um,
Or let me give you an example.
Perhaps like something if they were required to, I don't know why they would want to do this, but if they were required to raise up a building to a certain point and they didn't want to, which I would think as a builder, you wouldn't want to do that, but
Yeah, I mean, the floodplain standards and FEMA regulations they're noodly. What the state has updated the elevations for freeboard, if you will, to use a boating term, of what you need above the base flood elevation. So they've increased that. That might be something that you have an existing structure and you don't want to raise it a foot because the regulations just changed.
that could be. There
um,
may also, for full transparency, I was just gonna scroll down a little bit, so this section here was also taken out, and then number 4 was reordered to be number 3.
Looks good. We
And
don't
then
have
the
any-
rest of this has
any
not
other
changed, it's
comments
all
on
the
this?
same.
do you want to ask the public if they have any comments?
Sure. If the public has any comments, there's only a few folks here, but if anybody has any comments or questions, they're welcome to raise their hands or use the Q&A feature. Not seeing any.
All right, then. I'm going to presume, unless someone speaks, that the planning board members are satisfied with the description of the circumstance. And then I would like to ask for a motion to close the public hearing and approve the zoning bylaw flood plan amendment that will be presented and voted on at annual town meeting.
In this case, excuse me, Ms. Glassmeyer, in this case, I don't think we approve it, but we make a recommendation to the floor of town meeting. I think we recommend it, which is different than an approval.
Okay, thank you. That we will make that adjustment. With that, can I get a motion?
A motion to close the public hearing and recommend adoption for our annual town meeting.
All right,
Second.
thank you. Was that a comment?
A second.
Second,
Okay, thank you.
need a second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Clark Brewer, aye.
Amy Glassmeyer, aye.
Kevin,
I think we got your aye. And then Brigitte.
yeah, Birgit Schmidt-Beesche, aye.
All right, thank you.
We can confirm with Kevin if he regains signal later.
Okay,
Yes,
Just go like
that was
that.
an aye. Apologies if my
There we go.
signal was not great. Yep.
okay. So the hearing is closed and the roll call vote was 4-0 to make a recommendation to the zoning bylaw regarding the flood plan amendment, which has just passed. All right. The third item of business is an extension request for a 2023 Village Business District special permit site plan approval decision for 55 South Main. We are being asked to provide an extension by a new individual who is also the applicant who now has control over the property. So let me just read a little bit. The applicant has filed a letter requesting an extension for the above referenced special permit site plan approval for 55 South Main and recognized as the project. Board decision was filed on May 2nd, 2023, with a 4-0-1 vote in favor for the raise and removal of the existing 2125 square foot structure to allow for the construction of a new 3-story mixed-use structure comprised of commercial and retail on the first floor, as well as second and third floor with 12 residential units. Since SP and SPR approval, the project has sat dormant due to financial constraints and economic hardship under the previous ownership. Under new ownership, the project is now positioned to proceed with a viable path to construction and completion. In this instance, this is a special permit site plan approval decision, and what we will do now is to have the applicant speak, and then after the applicant, the planning board members will speak as we move forward in considering this application.
So I've promoted Brian Crowley, who is the new owner of the property. And Brian, if you would like to unmute yourself and speak, you may.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
We can.
Hi. So my name is Brian Crowley, and I live in Milton, Massachusetts, and looking forward to taking over this project and seeing it through to the very end. Is there any questions?
Are there any members of the board that would wish to ask questions?
I don't really have any questions. I understand that they're asking for, and we can provide a 1-year extension to the special permit site plan review. And I would think that would be, under the circumstances of new ownership, that would be a reasonable thing to do. I did want to say though that if the new owner applicant is going to be changing the design, you'll want to come back to the planning board for a modification to the original special permit site plan review approval. I'm sure you already know that. I just wanted to say it out loud.
Yeah, sure. Right
Whatever
now we
you're gonna-
just want, right now we just want to build
You
what the
preserve
town
your-
approves.
Yeah, you definitely want to preserve your
Yeah,
existing permitting.
yes.
And then, in some cases, there's major modifications and minor modifications. The building inspector is equipped to approve of a minor modification to what was originally approved by the planning board.
Yes.
And then a major modification, it's, if you're changing around the number of units and square footage of what's commercial and what's residential, that would be a major modification. So plan that into your schedule.
Yeah, I understand that.
Right.
Go ahead, Birgit.
Yeah. I have, I think there are 2 affordable units planned currently. And as far as I remember, that's also listed in the special permit. Will that stay the same?
We will honor what the town approved.
Okay.
And I had a procedural question. Is there a opportunity for further extensions if one were provided here? Or is it one and done? Where are we procedurally with what we can provide?
Cassandra, can you answer that?
Yes, I can. So the board can grant an extension at this time for up to a year. And then if the applicant needs to come back, they could come back again to request an additional extension of the permit for an additional year for a maximum of a 2-year extension, but you can only do it 1 year at a time.
And then once they apply and receive a building permit, that takes the place of the special permit.
Yes, once they get started, they don't have to worry about that timeline.
Yep. They're not limited to that original 1-year
Mhm.
extension.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question, which is, do you have an anticipated start date?
That's kind of a tough question to answer right now, because we're at the very, very early stages of this, and we have to, there's a process I'm sure that the town of Cohasset has, and we'll follow that process, and whatever the town requires us to do as far as the process is concerned, we'll do it. But we'd like to start as soon as we could. I'm not sure if it's going to happen, in the next 6 months, but the sooner the better for us.
All right, I have another question, which is, in a situation like this with a crowded site and its proximity to a transportation lane, will you anticipate the means by which you will manage such things as the transportation and access issues that will no doubt be associated with taking the building down and then starting the building back up again?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, there's a TMP, a traffic management plan associated with the previous people. So, which to the best of my knowledge, I think was approved. So, we'll follow that.
All right, so I'm not sure, Cassandra, does the town have the completed plan for 55 South Main? Do we have all of the documentation, not just the planning board narration and various elements like that, but the entire project in a box that is observable?
So at this time, I mean, I have everything in the office that was approved by the planning board and was submitted during that process. They may have had to go to other boards as a part of that project. Those boards would have their own files in their own filing system. But I have all of the documentation that was submitted for this particular approval or approved application.
So that includes such things as having met with the Concom, having met with the sewer district, having met with all of the other ancillary boards?
Not necessarily within the planning board's files. I mean, anything that was submitted as a part of the application would be in the folder. But if it wasn't submitted as a part of the application, then it would not be in that folder.
So that might be helpful to Mr. Crowley to have a list of the items that he doesn't have, so that if he, over the winter, it could be still snowing and not able to do anything at all, but to sort of work out a management plan that includes what the other aspects of the project will likely require.
All those documents are listed out in the decision.
Correct.
So if he doesn't have a particular document, Cassandra has it and could forward it to him.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Is there any other comments or questions from the planning board members?
No.
All right. So then can I get a motion to approve the request for an extension of the approval of the village business project permit for a year?
So moved.
Second?
Second, I'll second
Right.
that.
Roll call vote to approve the extension of the 2023 permit for 1 year.
Clark Brewer, aye.
Amy Glassmeyer, aye.
Kevin Heine, aye.
Birgit Schmidt.
Yeah, Birgit Schmidt-Beesche, aye.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for coming, Mr. Crowley, and thank
I
you.
just have one quick question.
Okay.
We had two things, right? We had the site review and the special permit. So did we
Right.
do both in one now?
Yes, there was a combined permit application.
Okay, so And they both have the year extension period.
It was
One
one
perhaps-
decision that you're approving the extension for.
Okay.
Okay, but that was a good question.
Hmm.
All right, so guess what? That is the end of our meeting, but let me say a few more words. Ms. Thayer, do we have any minutes to review or other outstanding business?
Unfortunately, no. I intended to have the February 5th minutes for you this afternoon, but the day got a little hectic and away from me.
That
All right,
sounds
so we will expect to see those next
They will
time.
be available at your next meeting for sure.
Right. So this concludes tonight's business of the Cohasset Planning Board. If there are no other matters before us, can someone make a motion to adjourn the March 5th meeting of the Cohasset Planning Board?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Clark Brewer, aye.
Amy Glassmeyer, aye.
Evan Hein, aye.
Birgit Schmidt-Wiesche, aye.
That vote to adjourn has passed 4-0. Thank you very much.
This is the
everyone.
fastest meeting we've had in
I
in
know,
a
it's
decade.
great. Look
It's
what we
making
did
up
for
for
you.
last meeting. It's
Look what we
making up
did for
the
you,
last
Brigitte.
one.
You scared us, and so now we behaved.
Good night,
Okay,
everyone.
see
Good night.
everybody
Thanks, everyone.
in the
Bye.
future. Be safe, Kevin.